You have an early flight to catch and an alarm clock you don't entirely trust. So you pick up the receiver by the bed, speak to a voice at the front desk, and ask for a 5 a.m. wake-up call. Then you go to sleep, completely confident that the hotel will not let you miss your flight. Every internal call, whether ordering room service or setting that morning alarm, routed through a private manual branch exchange, or PBX. To connect your room to the kitchen or the front desk to the outside world, a room full of switchboard operators had to manually take a physical cord and plug it into a specific jack. As the post-war travel boom hit, hotels expanded rapidly. Modest buildings transformed into mega properties with hundreds, sometimes thousands of rooms. Connecting all those calls by hand quickly became mathematically unsustainable for the staff available. The sheer volume of manual cord plugging created severe operational bottlenecks. Operators working through peak hours would miss handwritten wake-up logs, disconnect active lines by mistake, or leave frustrated guests ringing into dead air. To survive its own massive growth, the hospitality industry realized it could no longer rely on human operators to manage the flow of information. They needed to hand the process over to machines. By the 1980s, the physical switchboard room was replaced by the electronic private branch exchange, or PBX. This was essentially a localized computer server dedicated entirely to routing calls within the building. Combined with the rollout of touch-tone telephones, the PBX allowed guests to bypass the operator completely. You could simply press a 9 on the keypad to open an outside line and dial local numbers directly. This automation introduced a feature known as message registration. The PBX silently monitored every outbound connection, tracking electronic pulses in the background to log the exact duration of every call made from a specific room extension. With software doing the tracking automatically, hotels realized they could apply aggressive markups to outbound local and long-distance lines. Guests would simply pick up the phone, make their calls, and see the heavily inflated final tally printed on their folio at checkout. That quiet background accounting turned the in-room telephone from a baseline amenity into the most profitable piece of hardware per square foot in the entire building. This technical brochure for the FCS WinVoice system shows how PBX software solved operational headaches like the automated wake-up schedule. Guests punched a sequence into their dial pad, and the PBX rang the room autonomously, removing the risk of lost handwritten notes. If the system dialed the room and detected no answer, it initiated a failsafe. It immediately triggered a high-priority alert on the lobby terminal, signaling the staff to send someone up to physically knock on the guest's door. This level of tracking required the PBX to communicate directly with the property management system, the central software holding guest reservations and billing. That connection turned the room phone into a two-way operational tool for the staff. For example, once a housekeeper finished making a bed, they could pick up the room's receiver and dial a specific sequence of digits. The PBX would process that code and instantly update the property management system, flipping the room's status to clean so the front desk knew it was ready for the next arrival. By merging communication with management software, the phone system began to function as an invisible nervous system, dictating the daily operational workflow of the entire property. Then came the widespread adoption of the personal cell phone. Almost immediately, the guests' absolute reliance on the hotel's telecommunication network evaporated. Guests stopped picking up the bedside receiver to dial out. The massive markups on long-distance calls collapsed overnight, wiping out a major revenue stream and leaving hoteliers stuck maintaining expensive, rapidly aging server racks in their basements. To survive the loss of revenue, the industry pivoted to Voice over Internet Protocol, or VoIP. This technology converted voice calls into digital data packets, allowing hotels to merge their phone and internet traffic onto a single network to drastically cut infrastructure costs. Moving to VoIP meant properties could finally rip out the massive physical PBX hardware. The entire routing system was replaced by off-site, cloud-hosted software that handled the data remotely. Today, most guests travel with multiple personal mobile devices. We rely on our own phone alarms to wake us up and tap through hotel-branded apps to order room service or request extra towels. The physical plastic phone sitting on the bedside table is now mostly a regulatory requirement for contacting emergency services. To the modern traveler, it's invisible. The physical hardware has largely vanished, but the underlying logic remains. The automated systems once locked inside that plastic desk phone, the digital wake-up alerts, and the instant housekeeping status updates, simply migrated into the guest's own pocket, forming the structural backbone of the app-driven hospitality we use today.